Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monkey in the Morning. Oh, God, I sound like shit, don't I? Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm in so much pain. We're going to ignore that, though, and push on with the show. Sorry I wasn't here the last couple of days. House repairs mostly are done, but my body is as well. And we'll just leave it at whew. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. This is Monkey in the Morning. I am Monkey, and you are here to listen to me for reasons I can't understand, but very, very much appreciate. Hope you're all well tonight. Oh God. I was originally going to do this stream about Tim Pool and Pearl again because they had one of the dumbest exchanges I've seen in a long time. In a long time on Twitter of all places. When you're making Twitter seem like a more rational place than you belong, you've made mistakes in your life. You've made big mistakes in your life. But then I caught the clips from the Senate hearing. Oh, God. Don't worry. We'll get to the Tim Pool Pearly stupidity later if I have time. But we're going to start with the Senate Judiciary Committee today. They had a hearing on some of Joe Biden's judicial nominees. And in this case, we're talking specifically about Sarah. Oh, fuck. I forgot her last name. Hatburn, something burn. We'll see it on the screen in a minute. But she is a federal magistrate out of the Southern District of New York. She's not a full-blown judge. Blown judge. She's a magistrate judge, which they still, are judges, but they can't like oversee criminal felony cases. They handle misdemeanors and minor stuff, civil motions and shit like that. And Joe Biden, in his infinite wisdom, and let's be honest, it's not him. The president isn't really the one who picks most of these judges. They're given a list by people that I'm using air quotes, trust. And what I mean by that is have given them some money. And they're given these lists and like, these are good judges. And Miss Sarah Dumbass, we'll just call her that. She is being recommended by the Biden administration to become a full member of the Southern District of New York Court, the federal court there in SDNY. And now look, I haven't dug in real deep on this lady. All I've seen is the parts that I've seen in these videos, which we're going to watch. Actually, I watched one more. We're going to watch two. We're going to watch Ted Cruz and John Kennedy ask her questions. I don't have the time or the strength to watch through all of them because Jesus Christ. But the way they do these is they have a panel. We can put it on the screen. I can show you as I discuss it. It's not like it was just her up there. They bring up a group of them at a time because we have a lot of federal judges and a lot of empty federal judgeships. And so they bring several of them up at a time. And we have 5 of them here. And I don't know if you can tell from this, but oddly enough, they're all women. Shocking, right? Look at that. Joe Biden, he's picking people based on their genitals again. Because that's how you know if somebody is qualified for a job is whether or not they have an innie or an outie. And it's funny that I mentioned the genital thing because I didn't even do that on purpose. In this case, he's got a judge who is confused by genitals. The case that they're going to talk about that she oversaw, and she didn't oversaw, again, she's a magistrate judge, so it's not like she got to make the decision. She got to recommend. And it involves a man. I think we should just let it play out. Instead of telling you, let's just let it play out, shall we? How's my volume? Okay, we're good. So Ted Cruz, this is him right here. She is one of these in the middle. I forget which one. We'll see her in a second.
Well, Judge Netburn, I'm going to continue on this line of questioning.
Natburn, that's it, Natburn. I told you I'd get it as soon as I, said it or heard it or, saw it.
In your court, what matters more, the rights of individuals or your political ideology?
I apply the law to the facts.
I asked a question.
That's not a hard question. What matters more, your political ideology or the rights of people? There's only one answer to that. There's only one answer. The rights of the people. You're trying to become a judge. You're not not Rugburn, Natburn, Natburne. No, there's no E at the end. Sorry. Burn. Anyway, it's the first question. It's the first question, and she's already filibustering.
Question, which matters more?
Well, my political ideology doesn't matter at all.
That should have been the answer from the beginning. I go with what the law says. The law says the rights of the people, dumbass. Ugh. Sometimes when I'm watching these hearings, I get so frustrated with the people just being unable to answer a goddamn question. Now, look, there are times that when somebody's asked you a question that there's more to say than just yes or no, or in this case, individual rights or her political ideology. This wasn't one of them. And you're right, Faithless. He says you're already exposed that was a lie. Yeah. She was already bullshitting. I think my cat's trying to break into my room. Sorry, I'm listening. It's either an animal outside making a noise or my cat trying to break in my room, and I can't tell which. Anyway.
Okay, so I don't believe you. And
God bless Ted Cruz. So I don't believe you. You have no reason to. By the way, Ted is not the first questioner here. I didn't watch the whole hearing, but the way that they do it, you have, your chairman, and they sit in the middle, and then by seniority, they spread out to the left and right. In this case, to the left of the chairman is the Democrats. The right is the conservatives, or the Republicans, sorry. And Ted is like the fourth chair in. So by this point, she's already been asked stuff by 10 people.
I think this case demonstrates that you are willing to subjugate the rights of individuals to satisfy your political ideology. This case involves a male defendant who raped a 9-year-old boy. Was he guilty of that?
Yes, the petitioner pled guilty to that.
Okay, so he raped a 9-year-old boy. He also raped a 17-year-old girl. Was he guilty of that?
He pled guilty. The petitioner pled guilty to that crime.
Was he guilty? Yeah, he pled guilty. Yes, he's guilty. Now, while we do know that sometimes people will confess when they didn't actually do anything, he pled guilty to both of those crimes. It's okay to just go, yes, he was guilty. But this next this actually blew my mind. Wait for this.
As well.
So was he guilty?
I hope so, because she pled guilty to it.
We'll get to the she part in that in a second. Was he guilty? I hope so. You just told us that you go by the law, or by the law. Instead of just saying that your political ideology doesn't matter. How did you answer that? How did you answer that? No, she did not let him off, Faithless. It's not quite that bad. But her answer was, I go by the law. Well, by the law, he's guilty. Not just found guilty by a jury of his peers, actually admitted it. But she can't just say that. And she has to throw in the she. The she. Now, when I first heard this, remember, I watched this going into it not knowing this case at all. And I thought it was funny that she said she, because Ted had just been saying he was guilty of raping a little boy and a 17-year-old girl. And she did plead guilty to that. The she part becomes very important in a moment.
He was a he when he did this.
That's correct.
He's still a he. He's still a he, because you can't change that.
and also criminal deviant conduct, which the record doesn't disclose what that was exactly. Then, after serving in prison, Mr. McLean was released for parole, but then violated the terms of parole by having internet and was sent back to prison.
Not just by having internet. Just wait, because the conditions. This is, he said deviant conduct, and we don't know what that was. The fact that he was barred from being on the internet gives us a hint. Thank you so much, Petulant, who says, I love you, no homo. I love you back, and maybe a little homo. I haven't seen you, but thank you so much for that. The criminal sexual deviancy and not being allowed on the internet suggest either child porn or picking up children on the internet for sex or talking to them as though you're going to. Chris Hansen should be involved is what I'm getting at here. Again, we don't know that for sure because it just says that's what, criminal deviancy is a pretty vague term unless you read the full case to find out what specifically he was pleading guilty to. But the internet part is a very, very, very telling part of that. Anyway,
1 year after being released again, he was convicted of having child pornography. Is that correct?
I'm unclear on exactly the time frame that you're at, but the petitioner was convicted of.
I get it. She's trying to be a judge here, and it was just annoying to me. I'm unsure on the time frame, but yeah, that's right. Yeah, because the time frame of when he did it is the important thing there. If it had been 5 years later that he was found with child porn, that would be a whole different matter. God, I fucking hate politicians.
Distributing child pornography.
Child pornography that was images of adults violently raping children.
Abhorrent conduct.
Okay.
For which there are real victims.
What? You took the time to make sure you overpronounced she when talking about this fucking piece of scum raping a child, two children, a 17-year-old and a 9-year-old. You were sure to make sure you crossed that T and dotted that I. But here you want to throw in, to which there were real victims. There were real victims and videos and pictures of children being violently raped? Weird. Thank you, Dark Resurrect, for that feminist $12. I don't want to be this way, but I'm starting to notice patterns here with a certain sect of society. The left and transmission workers, YouTube safe speak. Oh, well, here's something you need to know about this. He wasn't trans when he did this. He didn't become trans until he was in prison. But anyway, yeah, I just fucking loved it. So it says real victim. Like she's scolding him for mentioning. So it says real victims. How dare you bring up this she-male. Oops, I'm not allowed to say that term anymore, right? It's a trans woman. There were real victims. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, nothing to worry about here, right, Judge? Have y'all guessed what this case is about yet? Have you guessed? A rapist identified as a woman and was put in a women's prison to rape again. Wow, dangerous. Did you read ahead?
And this individual, 6'2", biologically a man. A minute ago, you said that when this man decided that he was a she, you said this individual was, quote, I wrote it down, sober and entirely a female.
Now, I do want to go back. I'm going to have to watch this whole hearing, so if I can catch that quote. I have no doubt that she said that and she meant it at the time. I don't know in which context it comes from. I can't imagine the Democrats were asking her questions, so I just have to watch the Republicans. They'd be like, you like the child rapist, right? Cool. But Entirely female. Entirely. That's all right. What she clarifies. She misspoke. I don't want to give it away. Other than to say her excuse is also fucking retarded.
That phrase struck me as remarkable. Did this individual have male genitalia?
I think what I said, or at least what
That is a verbatim quote. Entirely a female.
sorry, what I meant to say was hormonally a female.
Okay, but that's not.
Oh, okay. One, no, you're not hormonally a female just because you take female hormones to boost your levels to female levels. You're just a dude who takes a lot of estrogen. But does anybody here doubt that she meant entirely female? Even if she meant entirely hormonally female, one, still not. I don't know if you know this about men and women, but we have different physiology. It's not real far different. We're still of the human species, but we're a little bit different, right? Like, I've never had ovarian cramps, and I never will. Exactly, Faithless. Ideologically, I can say that word, I promise. Ideologically female. And even not then. This is just nonsense. The person involved here is a child rapist in prison. Can y'all think of a reason a child rapist in prison would want to go to a female prison instead? Anybody, just off the top of your head, can you think about why the rapist would not want to be in prison, in a man's prison known as a child rapist? Dr. Resurrect, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Monkey, I've suffered from ovarian cramps. I mean, I've suffered secondhand when Lady Monkey had them and I couldn't do anything for her and I felt horrible about it. Anyway, what I meant was hormonally female. No. While some women have to take, hormone replacements and men have to take testosterone replacements, naturally we produce that stuff ourselves in the quantity needed to be male or female. That's actually how hormones work. They regulate our bodies. Our bodies require them for certain things to happen, like, living. But since this person was taking some estrogen, which I'm really not sure how they were able to get in jail, because that does not seem like cruel and unusual punishment to keep a child rapist from having hormones so that he can get out of getting butt raped in the prison.
Not entirely. Did this individual have male genitalia?
Yes.
So you took a 6'2" serial rapist, serial child rapist with male genitalia, and he said, I'd like to be in a women's prison. And your answer was, that sounds great to me. Let me ask you something.
Okay, in fairness, her answer wasn't, that sounds great to me. I get it. He's being facetious. But I did laugh at that part because, I mean, that is the reality of what she did here. That's the reality of letting this person go to a female prison. 6'2" serial rapist. He says serial. I mean, it was 2. That doesn't make it better. There were real victims here. I need to make sure that I say that out there. That doesn't make it better. He's just a regular rapist. You don't got to be a serial rapist to be a rapist, and we don't have to make him worse than he is. He's a child rapist. But anyway.
The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Is that a question you're
Yes.
asking me?
Do the other women in that prison have rights? Is that a question? That's that's a sitting magistrate judge. That's a sitting magistrate judge asking if that was a question. Now, I kind of enjoy this a little bit because if you guys watch court TV stuff. I love watching judges, and I don't watch the full cases because they're boring. I watch it like I watch NASCAR, right? I watch the YouTube clips of either judges or defendants or lawyers behaving badly. I fucking love those videos. A lot of these judges, and even in the Rittenhouse case, the one judge did this. They are such arrogant pricks up there on the bench. Just such arrogant pricks. And it's kind of neat to get to watch them get dressed down like this from time to time and be reminded that outside of their little bubble that they're just people too. I know there's a lot of great judges out there, and I do know that sometimes I would get frustrated with some of the shit that happened in a courtroom too. But sometimes these judges are just douchebags. So I kind of enjoy this a little more than I probably should have.
The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Of course.
Do they have the right not to have a 6'2" man who is a repeat serial rapist put in as their cellmate?
Now that part, okay. I get what he's getting at here. But I do have problems. I mean, in that regard, would you say the same thing about like a 5'2" guy who gets put into a man's prison with a 6'2" man who serially homosexually rapes people? I get what he's getting at here. You're not supposed to go into prison and be violently assaulted, and women are smaller, blah blah blah. We all know the arguments, but I do have a little trouble with like, well, she shouldn't have to be with a rapist. There's female rapists that are in prison right now with females, big bitches too, who've raped women, and I get what he's going for there, but it's irrelevant. Dudes don't belong in women's prison. There's a reason we separate them, and yeah, safety's part of it. But do you guys get what I'm getting at? That's not the right argument here, because again, a 6-foot big bitch who rapes women ends up in women's prison too, where they do belong. It's like they want horrible shit to happen to women. I hear that's my problem with it is, look, yeah, it does put those women in danger. That's not my problem with it. I know that's going to sound horrible. Monkey doesn't care that women are in danger. It's not that. I care about reality. And the reality is we separate men and women in prisons. And this guy is a guy. He belongs in a man's prison because he's a dude. All of the other stuff is just talking points. It's just talking points. You only need biology to make this argument. We've been studying biology for centuries, millennia. We've been cutting open dead humans and looking inside to see what makes us tick forever. And now suddenly, because Tumblr became a thing in the mid 2000s, we have to question whether or not, genitals decide whether or not you're male or female. I'm not going to scold Cruz for his language. I hear you, and I understand why he's doing it, Eagle. I just think it kind of misses the overall important point. And that point being that this wouldn't make sense if those women weren't in danger from this guy being 6'2". This wouldn't make sense if the guy was 5'2". He was on the prison sports team too. Yeah, he's Joanna Man in prison. They should just do remember the Ernest videos, the Ernest movies? Just do Joanna Man goes to jail. Joanna Man saves Christmas. And
Senator Cruz, I considered the facts presented to me.
all right. You put a man in a women's prison and you considered the facts presented to you. Appeals more to people's innate desire to protect women. No, I get you, Faithless. I do. But I think when we split hairs about it like that it actually puts them in more danger. This is why, I mean, then you split down. Well, okay, not in prisons, but what about in the locker room? Okay, not in the locker rooms, but at least let them on the fields with them, right? As long as we're splitting hairs about it, We just have to keep having the arguments. And I think the better argument is men cannot become women. Women cannot become men. The end. That is just biological reality. So I get what you're saying, what you guys are saying. And again, I don't really hate what Cruz is saying here because he's right. Just once again, I don't care if it's a 4'5" guy in there. He's a serial rapist that you just put in a women's prison because he decided in his 50s that suddenly he was a woman. We'll get to that part later. I think that comes up in the Kennedy testimony.
And I reached a decision.
I asked you a question. I asked you a question.
It's not Tumblr. It's downstream from feminist ideology. Haha, I can trump that. It's actually downstream from psychology, which is largely communist bullshit. All of this comes from psychology. All of this comes from your monies and your Kensingtons and your masters and all of that nonsense when they're like, we have to. And you know what? The funny part is a lot of that was done in the name of feminism. A lot of that shit was done. You're like, oh, we got to liberate the women sexually. Hang on one second here. Okay, sorry. There was some strange bug. I wasn't sure what he was, so I just set him on fire. Okay, I didn't set him on fire. I just burned him up. Anyway.
Question. Do they have a right not to have a 6'2" man who is a serial rapist put in as their cellmate? Do those women have a right to that?
Every person who's incarcerated has the right to be safe in their space.
But you didn't think so. You didn't think so. And in fact, I'm going to give some quotes from your order because Senator Kennedy is right. This is not a judge's order. This is a political activist. By the way, the beginning of your order says, at birth, people are typically assigned a gender.
This is a judge who just told us that she considers the facts. Judges are told a lot of things in courts. Like, you'll have a man on video, clear as day, say, I ain't do that. And judges have to go like, but that's you. I mean, that's literally you right there. Yeah, it wasn't me. So, yes, you have to consider what's brought before you. But if you're so goddamn dumb that you use the term assigned at birth, you should not be a judge of anything because nobody's assigned at birth. They're noted. I'm getting ahead of Ted here.
Let's say that would astonish a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans think you go to the hospital, a baby is born, and congratulations, you have a little boy, a little girl. The assigned a gender, I know you went to Brown, but it sounds like it's in a college faculty lounge.
Now, this part I did have a problem with because I feel like Ted needs to pay a little bit more attention because that assigned at birth thing, I think that would astonish a lot of Americans. It would 10 years ago, but it is a common talking point right now. This is kind of what I'm getting at with making the argument that you just can't change your sex rather than, oh, these women are in danger. He's right. The women, they massively put these women in danger by putting this fucking rapist in there with them. But the overall point is he shouldn't have been in there because he's a he. And the more that we allow this stuff to go unchallenged, the more it happens and the more that it just seeps in and it becomes the norm. How many people will tell you right now that there's a constitutional right to abortion, even though even under Roe, there was no such fucking thing. Even when Roe was the law of the land, there is nothing in the Constitution that says that. So why does it get repeated all the time? Because it was repeated all the time. Anyway.
With no bearing on reality, the Bureau of Prison argued what I'm saying right now, that if you put this person in a female prison, there will be a risk of sexual assault to the women. And you know what you did? You said you didn't care about the women. I'm going to quote what you wrote. You wrote, quote, the Bureau of Prisons claim penological interest in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma.
Remember that part. What he just read, the Bureau of Prisons, this is her statement. She's acknowledging that the Bureau of Prisons said hey, there's a chance that you're going to get these women raped. Just hang on to that for a little while.
This interest is legitimate. That's kind of you to say. But
And that part right there. Not only did she acknowledge that they said it, she agreed that it's a legitimate interest. It's a legitimate claim. It's a legitimate worry. Thank you, Keldrig. Tangentially, I think we should have separate prisons for just rapists. Just throw them all in one place and the problem will sort itself out. Yeah, I don't have much of a problem with that. Thank you for the donation, my friend.
But there are no signs that petitioner is at risk of reoffending. The record is devoid of evidence of incidents of violence or assault during petitioner's incarceration when she was the perpetrator, only the victim. A theoretical risk of sexual assault by the prisoner without more cannot support the BOP's position.
While they were in a men's prison, they didn't rape anybody. They didn't rape anybody smaller than them. They didn't rape anybody that they could easily overpower. There's no sign that they would reoffend. This is a dude who got out of prison after, raping children and shared child porn. There's no, and yeah, Vol Potato, that anybody knows of. Nobody went and told. Everybody goes and squeals in prison. But just the note, hey, they haven't raped anybody in the men's prison, so there's no reason to think that we put them in with women that they would do the same there. No. This is a good little rapist, okay? He's a good little rapist.
No evidence, theoretical. Have you dealt in what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at a risk of reoffending?
Especially after they were let out and were sharing violent child porn.
Senator, as I do in every case.
I know you've been told to repeat the line, I follow the law. I
just want to say again, I love Teddy. I don't always agree with the man, but I like Ted. I know you were told to say that.
Senator, as I do in every case.
I know you've been told to repeat the line, I follow the law. I asked a question. In what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at risk of reoffending?
Sir, I looked at the facts that were before me in this.
He's not asking about the facts in that case. I mean, he's talking about that case. He's talking about the fact that pedophiles and rapists tend to keep doing it. Sexual criminals tend to keep doing it over and over and over again. This is why we had that argument with Hunter Avalon. I mean, it's not why we had the argument. It's why I argued as passionately as I did. You have people out there like, no, all we have to do is teach him not to do it. Just tell him how it hurts the child's feelings. Don't you get that that's part of it for him, you fucking retards?
Case.
I do also, if you argue with these idiots long enough, right? If you argue with the people who defend these pedos, what they'll always tell you is, it's not about sexual attraction. It's about the power dynamic. I wonder how those people would respond to this, right? Hey, they only raped kids because they're smaller and can't fight back, would respond to a case of a 6'2" man going to a female prison. Do you think they would be like, no, that shouldn't happen because of the power dynamic? Or do you think they'd be on the side going, but that's a girl. That's totally a girl.
All of the evidence, including the statements of every warden who had supervised this petitioner.
You also wrote, the BOP also posits that permitting petitioner to live among women will be traumatizing and possibly dangerous to them. This concern is overblown. I have to say,
you could traumatize women. That's overblown. It always makes me wonder. It's because this is a woman. It makes me wonder how she would feel in a situation where there's a scary dude around. Do you think she just ever goes out like, oh, look, that guy looks really scary. This is a dark alley. I'm going to walk down it anyway because there's no reason to think anything bad could happen here. Or do you think she stays in the fucking street light and runs to her car as fast as she can? Chances are it's just a dude walking down the street at night. But I guarantee you her ass will, oh my God, 911. There's scary people around. That's overblown. You know what's weird? I've seen a lot of cases where judges will agree that a concern is overblown, and then the concern turns out to be real.
If I were the father of one of those women,
Did this judge say, fuck, I can talk, I promise. Did this judge say typical women just being hysterical? Basically, yeah, except for in this case, it's not the women themselves. This is like the Board of Prisons saying, hey, this could be traumatic to women. And her going, oh, that's just, you guys are being so dramatic right now. You're being so dramatic. Those women would be fine. Hey, Otter, how's it going? It's okay until it's them. Yeah, exactly, Pat. It's very easy to be liberal in this sense until you're in that position. Very easy. I am 6 foot tall. When I was healthy, I was built pretty well. I didn't walk down dark alleys at night. I'm sure she does. It's overblown to think something bad could happen there.
and you decided that my daughter's cellmate was going to be a 6'2" man who over and over and over again committed violent sexual assault, I would say the entire justice system is absurd, and it is clear on your record your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endangered. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being a judge.
And I agree with everything you said there, but I think it's even more than that. I think she showed that she does not have the discernment to be a judge. And not because this guy's 6'2", but because she thinks taking hormones turns you into a chick. No, you see, being a woman is just a matter of having the right hormones. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's her overall discernment. I would say the same thing if this was a conservative judge and they thought that they could fly. It doesn't matter to me left or right. Bad judges are bad judges. You can have judges who are politically biased in their everyday life who it doesn't come through in their legal decisions. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. I promise you. It doesn't mean it happens all the time. And yes, there's plenty of examples of clear judicial activism, the Roe case being probably the greatest example of it. But it is possible to be left-leaning and not retarded. Not these days. Let me to be on the left these days, you do have to believe that you can change your sex and that a baby is basically just a parasite. So maybe the modern left, you can't be, for lack of a better term, not retarded and be on the modern left. But you can have left leanings, things that I would consider left that aren't quite, full-blown stupidity or communism or just basically excusing child rapists. You can have some left-leaning views and not be insane. It's just weird that over the last decade, especially, we've seen this grow out of and I forget who it was that said it earlier. I think it was Rogue Thought. This does come from feminist ideology. All of this shit stems from intersectionality. The bullshit we're seeing today, it's all that intersectionality shit coming together. And it's like, okay, I will suspend all common sense to defend you if you suspend all common sense to defend me. And that's what it is. That's what we're seeing over and over again. That's why we have honest arguments now about whether or not men have a biological, physical advantage over women. I don't. Did you guys see the video of the chick with the bow staff doing all the spinny spin? And what the hell's that chick's name? I don't remember. She posted it, and several guys went, yeah, but I could still take her. And she responded, um, she is like a master, and you would not last a second. If it was a similar sized guy who wasn't trained, she'd totally kick his ass. No, she wouldn't. No, she wouldn't. Even with her stick. Unless she got a really good hit in on his head the first time she swung it at him, even an overweight guy, same size. Let's say because she's like 110 pounds. Let's say he's 3'6", so that 110 would be really fat for him, right? He'd still take her because we're naturally stronger. That's why women need weapons to compete with men. And she goes to tell the story, like, when I used to do, I forget what she said she did, some martial art. I could hold my own with the guys. Yeah. And one, martial arts isn't, in most cases, when you're talking about your tournaments and stuff, it is not like a boxing match where they're just like, fight for 3 minutes or until one of you passes out. It's very, very coordinated. It is very structured. There's only so many things you're allowed to do, and all you really have to do is get in a good point or a good block, and you can win. That's not how the real world operates. In the real world, you punch me, and then I overwhelm you because I'm 6 foot tall and a man, and your 110-pound ass ain't doing shit to me. Thoughts for thoughts. Thoughts for thought. Thank you so very much. If taking hormones turned you into a woman, we'd have way more porn about turning business rivals into stay-at-home moms. We'd also have laws against that very thing. True. Yeah, right. Rules. There's the idea that men and women are physically the same is nonsense. It is just nonsense. But it's where this is born out of. If we're all basically the same, well, you take a couple of hormones and you're literally the other thing now. You're literally a woman now, except for not. Pound for pound, 40% stronger. Yeah, men are just stronger. And I'd love when they always go, oh, or if they're out of shape. An out of shape guy let's say a guy, I'll use myself again as an example. In my 30s, I weighed almost 300 pounds. And I was strong as a motherfucker. I could run. I could do all kinds of physical activities, play sports, basketball, football, everything I did when I was 175 pounds. A little slower, sure. But then I also had an extra 125 pounds of weight that I could bring to bear on people. There's a reason we have weight classes in like boxing. Because if a flyweight stepped into the ring with Tyson, Tyson would literally kill him. He could let that flyweight sit there and punch him all day long. It's funny to me that we have no problem. I mean, even on Lords of the Night, I forget what the case was. Some dude hit some female who had hit him, and the subject came up. Women hitting men, nobody seems to disagree that it doesn't feel the same. That a woman can come at me, punch me as hard as she can, and worst case, she might bruise me a little bit. But if I punched a woman as hard as I can, I could break her skull. And nobody has a problem saying that when it's a man punching a woman and there's some kind of, domestic violence thing. But Phelan Fox thrown into a octagon with a woman, come on, they're both women. What advantage? What are you talking about? Frosted, thank you. Ted just has to ask, why is a biological male rapist who identifies as a woman less dangerous than a biological male rapist who doesn't? Men and women are equal, so why don't we allow all biological male rapists in women's prisons? Well, you see, Frosted, it's because this person identifies as a female, therefore they are. That's why. And I know that sounds stupid, but that is the real answer. Rogue Thought, thanks so much. Who says, thanks for the stream, sir. Always happy to stream. It has been a pain in the ass not doing it the last couple of days. I've not streamed more than I've streamed this week, and it's starting to get to me. I have things I like to hear myself speak. I have things I want to say. Thank you, Keldrig. Most honest martial arts instructors will even tell you that while having martial arts experience and training can be helpful in a fight, your best option is almost always to avoid a fight or run from it if you can. Yeah, exactly. Martial arts is incredible, and jujitsu is way more effective for you in a street fight than karate. Just because a lot of the street fights end up as wrestling matches anyway. The stuff you see in movies, we have a real problem with movies in this country. It has colored the way we see things so much. In a movie, if a street fight happens, right, everybody stands up and they punch each other and they take their turn. The only time that somebody gets bum rushed, it happens for just a moment so that they can wrap up the main character and he can jump up and kick the one guy in his face and then flip the other guy over his back. That's not how it happens in real life. It's just not. In real life, you get smothered and they beat you while you're down. Anyway, your best bet in a fight is always to avoid the fight. We'll get to that in a little bit because we're going to talk about that Kaylee Gain, I think is her name. The white girl who got knocked out and then violently beaten while unconscious and ended up in the hospital. They just came out and decided they're not going to charge the girl who beat her like that as an adult. And we'll talk more about it in a little bit. I don't think the Kaylee chick was innocent. She was clearly willing to get into a fight. The two of them were willing to get into a fight. And you should check out Actual Justice Warriors video on this. It's from like 6 days ago, I think. But just because she agreed to get into a fight doesn't mean that the other girl didn't go above and beyond. But we'll get back to that in a little bit. I don't know this story. Well, Eagle, it blew up on social media because, oh my God, the black girl beat up the white girl. The only people who didn't make it racist were the two people actually having the fight. There was no racism that we know of in this fight. But you had the AG of the state, I forget which state this is in, come out and go, this is because of DEI. What? And now the other side is like, this white girl totally, she started, the other girl was just defending herself. She was defending herself, sitting on top of an unconscious person, beating their head into the cement. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Let's get through this. Because this, we might just skip the Kennedy video because it's pretty much the same thing. But this next part, this is where the sparks fly. Because he just wrapped up his questioning. And as the chairman often does, if they're on the side of a witness, they will let the witness make a statement after questioning, right? They'll be like, oh, you were asked a question you didn't get a chance to answer. That happens up there all the time. When they're up there on Capitol Hill giving testimony, you'll see I'm reclaiming my time. I'm reclaiming my time to keep the witness from giving the answer. And then the chairman, again, they don't do this every time. It's only when they agree with the person that's being questioned, they'll give them a chance to continue to speak. So we get this.
Judge Netburn, there was an opportunity during your exchange with Senator Cruz that you were attempting to offer a response relative to the conditions under which this petitioner was
This rapist.
unsafe in the facilities in which she was being held. I'd like to offer you the opportunity to finish that response.
Actually, Ted Cruz didn't say anything about them being unsafe in the place they were. He was bringing up that moving them was unsafe. And that's another irony of this. Jack is here. Jack, didn't I send you the link? I swear I sent it. Da-da, da-da-da-da. Okay, you can blame Dixie Rose because I went to send you the link and I saw a message from her that I responded to and said, yeah, that's my bad. So that's number 4 of all the times that I've forgotten to send you the link. Although in 2 of those cases, I did send the link. I just forgot to hit the button an extra time. Sorry about that, Jack. Anyway, as I was saying, there's an irony here that this person wanted out of the male prison because they felt unsafe. Can you think about that for a minute? Can you just contemplate that? Hey, as a rapist, I feel unsafe in this prison. Could you send me to where there's more vulnerable people? What could go wrong there? Jack, you do have the link now. Fuck. Sorry, guys. Don't rape me, bro. Right? Oh. Hey, Jack. Sorry about that, my friend. How are you tonight?
Sorry, you said 4 times. Does that mean the other times were on purpose?
No, I said it's the 4th time that I haven't sent it. I never said any of them were on purpose. This one wasn't even on purpose.
Starting to feel unloved here.
Shit.
How you doing?
Not even worth talking about, man.
You should stop feeling like shit. Has anyone told you that?
I would love to. I put 40
I heard all about this. It's called manifesting. Apparently, you can reshape the entire universe like you're Neo or the guy from Dark City. You can just change everything around you. You just manifest money, power, and health.
Right now, there's about a 3-inch wide strip about, I can't see it, so I'm guessing about a foot wide across my back that feels like the skin's trying to peel off.
That's disgusting and horrifying.
And I don't mean like peeling from a sunburn. I mean like being removed from the muscle.
Yeah, that's really fucked up.
It's just part of life. It'll pass. Couple more days.
Have you come across some Romans recently that decided to make you carry a plus sign across the room?
No, just a normal course of business.
Oh, well, you should stop doing that. It sounds horrible.
Actually, that's not the worst part. Is my feet, man. Just standing on them hurts. My feet. One of the things that happened with all this is my feet became incredibly sensitive, and every so often, if I'm on them too much, just actual pain if I put any pressure on them at all. It's a lot of fun.
That's fucked up, dude.
It happens. It'll pass. Anyway, what won't pass is the stupidity of this judge, Jack. I don't know how much you got to see of this.
More than I probably should have without getting enraged.
So
much of this stuff lately has just been so fucking stupid.
I just want to remind you guys that this woman is a magistrate right now. Biden has nominated her for a full judgeship in the Southern District, which means she would be making the decisions about whether or not this guy went to jail in the first place. She'd get to oversee criminal court.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she does right now with misdemeanors, but she would be like, hey, violent felony, you're not likely to repeat. Yeah, the last prison you were in said you were a pretty nice guy. You know, except for all that child rape and child porn.
Yeah. Which more and more of these judges seem to be really lenient on. It's really disgusting. Oh, he said it feels like a woman. Yeah, the dude's got a history of violent assault on people that are weaker than him. Oh, real quick. Thank you, Dark Resurrect, for that feminist donation. Clearly, Monkey hasn't learned how to levitate. What kind of bigot wizard is he, really? Shameful display. Yeah, you're a terrible wizard.
I've been trying very hard. Well, I'm not a Democrat, so becoming a wizard is kind of impossible.
Yeah, it does make it easier to move up the ranks, if you know what I'm saying. You're never going to be a Grand Cyclops, dude. You just have the wrong politics.
That's a Democrat started the Klan joke. All right. So anyway, this judge is now being allowed to give a statement in relation to a question that wasn't asked of her. That might be the first time I've ever seen that, by the way. Like I said, they will give a witness time to answer a question if they agree with the witness, but that's not what was asked of her. Anyway, so yeah, and by the way, you just made it worse because you admitted to us that this person found prison unsafe. Weird.
When has prison ever been safe? You're in prison. You're surrounded by criminals.
Well, this person needed to. They also claim a medical reason. That can only get my medical treatment in a women's prison. Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't think being a pervy rapist is a good medical reason.
Right. I'm sure that speculum's going to come in real handy for you.
Gross.
Anyway.
So the facts that were presented to me and what I relied on to make my decision were that the petitioner had engaged in no violence, no physical violence, no acts of sexual violence whatsoever while in custody.
Well, that's nice. It's nice that he waited till he was in prison with, people who could fight back before he decided not to rape.
Yeah. Yeah. Grown men.
Alan, thank you so much. Who says, morning, monkey. Good morning.
Yeah,
I just don't understand that. Even if every warden said he is the model prisoner, what does that have to do? We're talking about the circumstances, right? We don't have any evidence of him, raping grown men outside of prison either. We do have evidence of him raping a 17-year-old girl who probably was built like a lot of the girls in those prisons. I can't imagine what would go wrong. All the judges, all the wardens said he did. Maybe they just wanted to get rid of the weirdo.
Yeah, well, there's likely that. I mean, that nobody wants Chomo in their prison. Real quick though, thank you, Alan, for the generous donation. Says, morning, Jack. Good morning, Alan. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, welcome to the Great Pause Game Show. Holy shit.
Yeah. Frosty said that's the surprise finger in the butt look. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the eyes are even just a little bit crossed, like, whoa. Okay. You got trains by you.
Yeah, I got the window open, so you're gonna
fine.
hear the trains better.
It's not a big deal to hear the trains. I used to live near train tracks, and I liked watching the trains go by. It's calming to watch them.
Yeah, it helps me sleep. It didn't used to when I was a kid because we couldn't hear them as much. We didn't have that much train traffic, and my grandparents lived right next to the train tracks. But as an adult, I can sleep through about anything. I had the window open because it's hot as balls here.
We lived probably 150 yards from the track, so it was far enough away that you weren't right on it, but still it kept a lot of people up. But I can sleep through anything.
Yeah, I'm a ton of bricks. But if I do wake up, I am cranky.
That was always one of my biggest worries being a dad, is that I sleep so soundly. But there's a weird thing that happens where, not all the time, because I have slept through things I probably shouldn't have. But if you hear certain sounds while you're watching your kids, like they wake up in the crib, you're like, oh, I heard that. I don't hear a fucking tornado going by, but that I'll hear.
You're probably hardwired for that.
Yep. I'm pretty sure it's just, part of human nature. And not just for your own or for children. I bet it's for anything that you're, that concerned over.
Stupid evolution. Pretty sure I heard a mammoth in the yard.
Speaking of stupid evolution, let's get back to this chick. Frosted. All right. He broke my train of thought there. All right. Back to this retard on screen.
All three wardens who supervised the petitioner requested that she be transferred to a women's facility because of her serious medical needs.
What serious medical need can a biological man get at a female prison that he can't get at a male prison?
His biological need for raping.
I guess.
I've been told reliably that all men are rapists. So maybe it is a biological need that men are just that rapey.
I just don't understand. And notice that she didn't say because they're not a danger, so they need to go there for the medical treatment. What medical treatment?
The injections.
The only things that I can think of, Jack, where you would need a specific sexually related doctor, and I'm not talking about like a gymnast in Michigan. I'm talking about like you need to go see a doctor based on your sex. The man's prison is where you should be if you're a biological male. I'm betting they don't have a lot of treatments for, prostate cancer.
Probably not, but it might be a growing problem. Just like testicle injuries in women's sports, it's skyrocketing in the last few years.
This is what I was talking about, guys, where we have to actually turn off our goddamn brain to have these discussions because Jack's not wrong. Testicle injuries are on the rise in women's sports. Think about that. But don't worry, there's no guys playing.
In addition, the Bureau of Prisons' longtime medical provider testified at a 2-day hearing in my courtroom and recommended that the petitioner be transferred because of her serious medical needs.
You let that doctor testify for 2 days that a man needs medical help from a female prison.
With emptying his balls, yes.
Oh, deadly sperm buildup, man. It's taking a lot of guys.
It has. It's a known issue men have been complaining about for generations.
I was going to make an Elliot Rodgers joke there, but even I'm not that disturbed.
Do it.
I just did it without doing it. That's the wonder of English.
Beauty of comedy.
Yeah. As long as you say that you're not going to say it, you can still say it.
And then everybody with a brilliant mind writes their own joke.
Yeah.
They're like, that's so horrible. Oh my God, that's funny.
Why is Ian Miles Chong behind her? Stop.
I wasn't going to say that, but I was looking at the Downsy back there and wondering.
They look like somebody I've seen in a movie and I can't place the character.
Corky?
No.
Oh.
But close. Anyway, sorry.
Thank you, Unit 731. I'll accept the prisoner and give them a lot of medical treatment. I don't think experimentation qualifies, but we can find out. I'd be okay with that.
And the last
kid diddlers, they're not human.
thing I'll say is that the Transgender Executive Council, which is the body that makes decisions on behalf of transgender transfer requests within the Bureau of Prisons, never said that the petitioner could not be transferred and never, ever said that she couldn't be transferred because of any risk of violence. What the
Stop calling him she.
One, why is there a trans board within the Bureau of Prisons to begin with?
Why are prisoners given so many rights?
Well, because the Constitution says that you can't be cruel and unusual, and apparently that is very vague to people.
Yeah, you don't have to be cruel and unusual. I mean, it's a combination as far as I'm concerned. You can be cruel a little bit, but that doesn't mean you have to capitulate with every single whim they have. Our prisons are so incredibly weak. We actually have people come here so that if they go to jail, they can go to jail in an American prison.
Yeah. for those of you who don't know, rape in prison is largely a U.S. thing. It doesn't happen overseas as much as it happens here. And people would rather come here and get raped than go to prison elsewhere.
Yeah. So
Let that sink in.
it's fucking ridiculous.
Like, let's see, I can go over there and not get raped, or here and get raped. That's a toughie. You know, I'm gonna go with the butt rape.
Yeah, the Russian system is actually a far superior system. It's a lot more similar to what we would have as Supermax, except they don't have the layout of the Supermax.
Mhm.
If you took the Supermax layout and used the Russian system, where prisoners have almost no interaction with each other, I'd find that far preferable to what the mess we've got now.
Yeah.
'Cause these guys treat this like it's Club Med.
Yep. I was watching some crime videos the other day, and they were talking about this one guy who was in prison and how he's really sad because he spends most of his day in a 8x6 cell. He only gets out once a day, and he doesn't get to talk to anybody else except for the weird women who write him. I don't know why. It's all right. All he did was kill his wife and 3 children.
Yeah, well, it always takes me back to the Menendez brothers. Oh, they're orphans. Yeah, they killed their parents. Yeah, but they're orphans.
Yeah.
It's
This guy-
so broken.
This guy put 2 of his children in blankets with rocks, duct taped them shut, and threw them into the river.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah. I don't give a good goddamn how bad his life is. It's not as bad as it should be.
Yeah. And look, if prisoners want to behave and get extra rewards and stuff like that, that's fine. But they should earn that stuff. You start out with everybody else in the lowest rung, no TV. There's radio broadcasting. It's
Nope.
all educational. Nothing, no free shit.
Our courts have declared not giving them TV is cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah, that's such bullshit.
Man threw his live babies into the river.
Yeah, no, he doesn't deserve.
He deserves the TV. Fuck that guy. He deserves to be in the fucking river. Anyway. But do you guys remember earlier in the show, I told y'all to remember something? The person that she was just talking about, the trans counsel in the Bureau of Prisons, didn't say anything about there being any kind of, danger to the women folk. Do y'all remember when she said that the Bureau of Prisons being worried about, violence against the women was a real threat? Now, nobody said nothing like that to her. And that is what kicks off the rest of this.
Transgender Executive Council repeatedly said in denying the request was simply that she needed to maintain her hormone levels. That was the repeated justification for the denial of transfer. But
Oh, that's her O face right there.
Their reason for not wanting the transfer was so that they could maintain hormone levels. I'm really curious what the medical need to go to this female prison was then. Because at this time, remember guys, hormonally a woman, the only way to get hormonally a woman is, by injecting them or taking a pill, I suppose. Maybe he's on birth control. I don't know. But if they were able to maintain that in the male prison, what medical need was there to go to the female prison?
Raging boners.
Look, if I was going to prison, I'm not lying to you. The moment I commit a felony, I become a woman.
Right?
I mean, I already am one. I've declared that many, many years ago.
Yes.
But
we all appreciate your lesbianness.
If there's any chance I'm going to prison, you bet your ass I'm embracing my femininity.
Yeah, because women's prison is way easier.
Plus, there's women there.
Yeah. Granted,
I want to spend the rest of my life with dudes.
Right?
Dudes do not have vaginas, and I'm a fan.
Well, yeah, it does make a big difference.
Yeah.
Sort of
Anyway.
like being a baseball fan and you only ever get to watch basketball.
Or being a baseball fan and, being a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's sodomy. Oh, real quick. Thank you, Frosted. I don't think this lady was cut out to be a judge. Maybe she should return to acting. I mean, she was great as the villain in Con Air. Wow.
Nice.
Petitioner had reached full female hormone levels before even being incarcerated. At the time, the district judge in Indiana who sentenced the petitioner requested that she be placed in a women's facility.
Oh,
Her
okay.
hormone-
Just because some other incompetent retard says you should transfer him to a women's prison doesn't mean you do it. Like, oh, yeah, this is totally a woman. Shut up, sucker. And, oh, you've reached full female hormone levels? Yeah, that can change.
Well, you can do that with just, taking enough hormones.
Yeah, but all you have to do is stop taking it.
But notice what she said there, before they were incarcerated, not before they were already found or already arrested or anything. Lots of people don't go into jail and stay into jail until their criminal case. It's called bail, lady. You know what that shit is.
Yeah, this is all running defense because she did something stupid.
Yep.
To satisfy her PC overlords, and doesn't want to take responsibility for it.
Hormones were entirely female at that point.
I'm sorry, I cut that off there. We have to listen to this.
Based in a women's facility. Her hormones were entirely female at that point.
What?
Her hormones were entirely female. The fuck does that even mean?
Right?
Some gibberish.
I need that explained by a scientist. I really do, because somebody somewhere pulled a report and took it to this judge and went, look, her hormones are entirely female.
Right. I got a bridge I'll sell you.
What taking estrogen will give you huge amounts of estrogen in your body, but unless he had his nads cut off, he should have had elevated levels of testosterone as well. That's where the male hormones come from. Some of them. Yeah, exactly. So your body stops trying to produce male hormones. Apparently dangerous. The male hormones were, shit, I guess we're female now. Again, what the hell does that mean? What does it mean to be entirely hormonally female? What she actually means to say is that her estrogen levels were, I'm using her words when she says she. For clarity's sake, his estrogen levels were at what is considered normal estrogen levels for a woman. That's what she means here. And yes, if you take enough, then that's what's going to happen. But if her estrogen levels are at that point, right? I keep doing it. She's fucked me up, Jack. If his estrogen levels are at that point and they were maintained at that point in the prison to the point where the prison board was saying, hey, we need to keep him here to keep the hormone levels right. Why'd they need to go to a female prison? They were already getting it.
I think some of these judges are trying to get women raped.
What other explanation could there be? No, yeah, okay, I need to be fair. They're just dumb, Jack. I have no doubt this fucking idiot's like, no, he's not going to rape anybody. He's a woman.
Well, I agree with you, but at the same time, they do need to get those numbers on parity with the number of rapes in male prisons.
I guess, yeah. That's what she's trying for, real equality for women.
Yeah, it's equity, monkey.
Why is a man allowed to take estrogen in prison? Well, Peter, it goes back to that cruel and unusual thing.
Yeah,
it's
lawsuits.
It's cruel and unusual not to let a multiple murderer who raped several. It would be wrong not to allow Jeffrey Dahmer to identify any way he wanted to before he was murdered in prison.
Yeah, I mean, they've won lawsuits over this stupid shit, and I just do not understand why we have these pussy judges that are like, oh yeah, you're being treated so poorly in American prisons with your 3 square meals, cable TV, and all the butt stuff you can handle that they don't prosecute.
I'm not paying for that fucking sex change. Well, the problem is, Ego, we are. If you're in a state that allows this shit, you are paying for it. And there have been prisons that have paid for the sex change of inmates.
Yeah. And in some surprisingly right-wing states.
Yeah. That's not cruel. Starvation is cruel. Beatings are cruel. You have to see, this is what bothers me about it. While cruel and unusual is a vague term, and I think they did it that way on purpose, specifically, Jack, because they didn't want to say this is good and this is bad, because times change. And the problem is, we went from a time when hanging was kind of normal.
Yeah.
It's how you dealt with really bad people. To, I don't think that killing people is the right thing to do. It's cruel and unusual. You have to look at the times when that was said, and the kind of things that they were looking at that were cruel and unusual. Things like drawn and quartered, or the hanging the way they did it in the European court, where it's not like in America where we'll just drop your ass and let your neck break. They slowly strangled you for hours at a time.
Yeah.
That's why our hangings are quick, because it's cruel and unusual to do that to people, to just slowly choke them to death. You know, before you stop choking them so that you can, disembowel them in front of the kids.
Like you do.
It's not unusual, and cruel is subjective. Yeah. Well, even unusual is subjective to a point. But yeah, cruelty is cruelty to me is kind of like porn is for the Supreme Court. I know it when I see it, Jack.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for, is like, you can't randomly decide this guy gets bamboo shoots in his fingernails today.
The whole notion of cruel and unusual has been so bastardized by our judicial system, from degenerates arguing that they need things like TV. Fuck you. It is cruel and unusual because we should have put your ass to death long ago. I got so angry watching that video. He has to spend all his time in. Fuck him. Anyway, sorry. That video really pissed me off. I was enjoying it until that part. Then they're like, no, he shouldn't have to live like that. No. You should have stopped at lived. He shouldn't live. Anyway.
Well, they stand up for the most degenerate people on the planet.
Mm-hmm. They do. Look, and I'm not looking for people to be beaten while they're in prison, or some of the shit we've seen, like in Shawshank, which a lot of that kind of stuff really did happen, the way guards would treat people. I'm not looking for that. But a dude who, I'm not even of the opinion that they deserve books, Jack. They can sit in a little fucking cell and think about what they did.
Yeah, look, all those are privileges that need to be earned. Reading, no TV ever. There should only be educational material in prisons. They should only be able to make themselves better as humans, not as criminals.
Anyhow,
and so the decision by the Transgender Executive Council to deny the transfer request based on this idea that it was only because her hormones needed to be consistent and stabilized, I found was a pretext, but they never once said she cannot be transferred because of violence. It was always based on this idea that her hormones had to be.
Thank you, Judge Knipp.
I keep coming back to, if her hormones were there in the male prison, what could she possibly have argued? I need to find this case, Jack, because I'm desperate to find out what the medical treatment was she needed from a female prison.
I'd be willing to bet it was girly stuff, like routine gynecological exams to gender affirm them.
As a dude, if I have to have a prostate exam, I'd much rather it be a woman, just because they have smaller fingers. Well, so if that's the argument, I'm kind of with them there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this case before.
I don't know if we discussed the argument of why exactly the medical need.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure we have talked about this case before somewhere.
She said earlier there was concern from wardens. Yeah, but specifically for a health reason. He needed to go to the female prison for a pap smear.
Burn, Senator
Judge
Padilla.
Edward, that's
Senator
directly
Padilla.
contrary
Oh, I should warn you, it's about to get loud.
to what your
Senator, you
report
all
said.
have
That is
had
directly
no,
contrary.
no.
You're gonna
No,
follow up.
we're gonna
You're
there
gonna
is
follow up,
no
and that's
follow-up.
how it
No,
works.
there is not.
That is
There
exactly
is-
how it works.
Look,
If you follow up, you didn't get extra time, and she just directly contradicted her own report. I'm just going to read her own words
This isn't
because
fair,
it's
Madam
exactly
Chair.
the opposite of what she said. Your own report.
Senators,
There's something beautiful about watching Kennedy and Cruz rip into somebody together.
Yeah.
Senators,
quote.
I gave both of you more time to finish your line of
Yes, but
questioning.
then you jumped
I
in.
allowed the witness
And you
to
jumped in
finish
and took
her.
another round.
I allowed the
Took
witness
another
to
round.
finish
You
her
opened the door.
response.
You
I
opened the
allowed
door
the
to this.
witness to finish
You're
her
abusing
response.
your status
That is,
chair.
Okay, I understand
That
that you're
is not-
scared of
You
the
are
facts.
abusing
I
your
have-
status
Chair.
as chair.
Senator
Madam Chair,
Padilla.
You
Madam
can't
Chair,
just open
Thank you,
up
Madam Chair.
testimony and then
she
not
has an
give us a
obligation to
chance
explain
cross-examine.
why she directly contradicted what she wrote in her report. She says in her report, the Bureau of Prisons' claimed penological interest is in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma. She just told you the Bureau of Prisons didn't say there was a concern about sexual violence and trauma. Those are directly contradictory. And why are you contradicting what you wrote in your report?
And what are you
Madam
trying to
Chair, I
hide?
believe-
Madam-
Good point.
That's why they don't want him to have it.
Padilla.
Floor.
No, wait, point of
I
order.
believe
Senator
Point of
Padilla.
order. What are
Senator
you trying to-
Padilla.
The rest of it is just them yelling back and forth. That was the pertinent part. So she gets up there and in a confirmation hearing to become a judge in response to a case that shows she should never be a judge of anything, perjured herself. Whoopsie.
Well, it's okay when they do it. They're immune.
She
So
contradicted her own fucking statement.
Yeah. Well, lawyers and judges are immune from prosecution. They're immune from being questioned. How dare you?
Quick, say she has fake eyelashes. You know what's funny about that, Frosted? He was on with Megyn Kelly the other day talking about the whole fake eyelash thing and about how that kind of thing would never happen in the Senate. And he's actually right. Notice, I mean, the closest that they came to any kind of personal attack there is I Cruz, and maybe it goes on in the next little part, but Cruz says to her, I know you don't want to have to hear this. It was nothing like, bitch, I snatched that weave off your head or something like that, right? So they are a little more. That's not to say the Senate is civil. It's just more civil than the House has become because the House is a joke.
It's definitely fast tracking that way, isn't it? Real quick though, thank you, Keldrig. This is the sort of bipartisan action I want to see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This whole thing is ridiculous.
Keister says, as a female, it's commonly known that female gynecologists are more likely to provide a much more unpleasant experience during an exam. I think it comes from men and women. We don't understand each other's genitals the way we understand our own genitals. Like, you're with a woman nine times out of 10. She's going to be much more gentle to your penis than you are. You'll beat that thing like it stole from you. And she's like nicely kind of pulling on it. She's tugging it like she's afraid she's going to break it. And like, no, you got to get in there and do it for real. Women know what a vagina can take because y'all have one. Y'all ever seen a woman play with her vagina? That shit looks painful, but they like it.
Yeah. She got to rough that shit up.
Yeah. She looked like she's winning the lottery, scratching off that ticket. and we're like, don't that hurt? So, I mean, That's my theory for why it's always better to go to an opposite sex doctor for your genital needs. Because they're kinder about it, Jack.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And maybe get a date out of it.
Lisa said, what? I know what I said. Anyhow, Jack, we need to talk about this case of Kaylee Gaines. Kaylee is the chick who got knocked unconscious and then had her head beaten against the ground repeatedly by another student at her school. And she ended up in a coma for a couple of weeks. She is out of the coma now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. We should be able to put this on the screen. There we go. Monkey put some thought into this. I actually, okay, I got to take this back off the screen for this part of the discussion. I actually did, and it was a real thing that happened when I was watching a woman pleasing herself while we were, doing stuff, and I was like, "Am I allowed to do that? Because you are much rougher with that thing than I am."
Yeah, see, you don't want to break it because it's fun for you. That's your fun spot, and you don't want to break your toys. But she's like, "This is mine. I know what I like."
Yeah, I used to say God didn't give men vaginas because we'd ruin them, and then I saw how women treat their vaginas, and like, that can't be it. I'm just saying. Anyway, so back to this case here. This is a fight that happened 3-4 weeks ago now. I forget exactly how long ago. But the two girls square off with each other. The black girl gets the upper hand and knocks the white girl down. And then after she's won the fight, beats her head into the ground until she cracked her skull.
Yeah.
She had a brain bleed, and was in a coma for, I want to say, several weeks. Might have been several days. Either way, she was in a coma. She is home from the hospital now, from what we heard. But the reason this is back in the news is because the judge in the case decided not to try her as an adult. And I don't know how I feel about that, Jack. I really don't, because she is only 15 years old.
Yeah, she built like a tank, though.
She is, but I was reading some of the stuff on this kid. I watched Sean's video, Actual Justice Warrior, earlier in the week talking about the thing, but this popped up in the New York Post today, and he pointed out that the reason that the judge went with the charger as a minor thing is because the DA involved basically threw the case of charging her as an adult.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. This was posted out there as another one. Oh, look, black people being mean to white people. There is no suggestion whatsoever that this had anything to do with race.
No, it kind of looks like it was just two girls beating the shit or starting fights with each other.
It's exactly what it was.
Yeah, the blonde girl's not as innocent as they're trying to make it out to be.
The blonde girl got suspended the day before for a fight in school. During the fight, a black girl tries to help the white girl. A white girl tries to help the black girl. This was just kids being stupid kids. Until the black girl took it too far.
Yeah. And she did. She went too far trying to bash chick's head in.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to murder your opponent in a regular high school fight, okay? It's just that you're crossing the lines. Decorum, kids. Decorum.
When did that shit start? When I was a kid, I fought a lot, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever got even seriously injured. We didn't stomp each other's heads and beat each other's heads into the ground. When the fuck did that shit start?
It started when the schools started getting more permissive. Like, certain people were allowed to do things and go way too far. If you were on a sports team, you were allowed a lot more latitude in a lot of schools. But it was mainly the people targeted were people that you detested and wanted to hurt. But when we were kids, largely the fights were like, I'm just mad at you right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that you're seeing where it goes above and beyond, there's a vendetta there.
Yes. And I do. I don't want to put it all on girls, but the girl fights I see are so fucking vicious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think it's
Faithless,
gotten worse when we've dehumanized other people, like because their opinion makes them less, that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Faithless says this is, oh, yeah, yeah. Faithless says this is a lesson boys learn when they wrestle as kids, they learn limits.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it too, because one of the things that we've learned about this black girl, and I have no problem believing her family. Her family says she's never fought before. She's really good at it. She should get into MMA. But that she's like a straight A student, and that does go with that. Like if you don't know, but it also goes with what you say. This was vicious. This was personal. This was I have to destroy your existence.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of that is taught now because
Yeah.
kids aren't allowed to have roughhousing, so they don't know where those limits are. And that's part of it. But the other part is we teach kids that if somebody is against you, they want to destroy you. So you have to destroy them first.
Eagle says, I don't give a shit if she has straight A's. Me neither.
No, me either.
Actual Justice Warrior puts out, it will matter to the court, especially being that she's going to be tried as a juvenile.
Yeah.
They'll look at things like that, like her academic record and stuff.
She'll get a little slap on the wrist.
But how many times have we seen men and women, pillars of the community, murder somebody?
Too many. That's why that shit shouldn't matter. But
it doesn't. It does go to whether or not she's just, because she was presented just some violent, horrible girl when the reality is probably the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one thing that is annoying the fuck out of me is her family out there saying, she was acting in self-defense. This is their theory, Jack. That white girl was harassing and bullying her. So this was self-defense.
This is mutual combat. There's no self-defense here.
Yes, there was no self-defense here. Self-defense is somebody, and this is the problem with treating words as violence, like we saw with that trans kid who overdosed after the fight she started in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Bullying, when you say words to somebody, it's just like violence. No, it's not. No, it's not. Nobody has ever spoken someone to death.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like what Pat pointed out on Twitter is that there's not going to be any riots over this little white girl. But if this black girl had been the victim, whether she was in the right or in the wrong, there'd be fucking riots over this shit. Because, oh my God, how dare you?
And I hear you, but we're getting closer to that. I mean, the people, when I first saw this case, it was a whole bunch of the Republican folks, the conservative folks out there going, it's happening again. Look how violent the black girl is. The original part of this video that went up is just the headbanging at the end, which, by the way, is the crime here. The fight itself isn't a crime. And they make it look like she just got jumped. And the reality is it was mutual combat.
Yeah, but nobody wants to look at the context that everybody is so what Faithless said, stunted. They're emotionally stunted. There's a lack of emotional development these days, and people just go with their impulse. And eventually you're gonna have riots over the most trivial things where two people just had a personal beef and it suddenly blows up into a massive problem. And when that happens on both sides of it, it's going to get really messy because nobody's going to be able to stop that without incredible violence.
The other part of it, and again, I'm not meaning to be sexist here. This is just my experience. Women are more vicious.
Yeah.
You ever see women fighting? The first thing they do is try to grab the hair.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever seen Chihuahuas when they attack someone? They're vicious. They want to murder you. They just can't because they're small. Whereas like men are like pit bulls and they're mauling babies and shit. So women are very, very vicious in a fight. They're just not as strong and they're not as experienced in fighting.
could almost call this toxic femininity. Yeah. And in most cases, it doesn't lead to near death like this did. It's just the way that she did it. I mean, if this had been on the grass, she gets a headache, maybe a concussion. It was on cement, and that's why it's why she got a
That's attempted murder.
yeah. I wouldn't. I would use a manslaughter rather than open murder. Because I do think heat of the moment, you still should have known to stop there, but I don't think she set out originally to kill the girl.
No, I would agree with that. But at 15, she knew slamming someone's head on concrete could kill them. So she may not have been thinking about that in the heat of the moment because of rage, but you still should know better.
You should, and I do wonder how much of that is again Hollywood.
Well, I mean, like I said, that when kids aren't allowed to roughhouse, they don't know where that line is, because when you've gone too far as like an 8-year-old, because there's blood now, you're like, oh shit, I'm sorry.
Well, look at the Rittenhouse case where the prosecution argued getting hit in the head with a skateboard is no big deal.
Yeah,
you can kill somebody that way, and in fact, there was a guy during that trial who got killed that way somewhere else.
Yep.
And they're like, no, you can't kill somebody with a skateboard.
It's so amazing to me how people don't realize how easy it is to get killed. Like, you watch too many movies. Go outside and look at real things.
Yeah. Concrete, cement is a powder. I mean this with all the love in my heart. Kiss my ass. I always confuse the two. I know there's a distinction, and I don't give a damn. But concrete is he's correct. Concrete is the right word. Anyhow, speaking of tards, Jack, I gotta go back to Pearly.
Oh dear. Hang on. Thank you, Vault Potato. The initial fight doesn't have anything to do with race, but the legal sphere nowadays, race unfortunately does play a part. If the races were reversed, I have little doubt that the girl would be tried as an adult and vilified in the media.
True.
Well, she'd be a racist.
And I agree with you 100%, but again, the cure to racism isn't racism, and what that shows is racism. Not you, but the situation that you're right. But that situation is racist, that we would go after the white girl instead of going after. That's race. We should not. That shouldn't be a part of our system. It should be the race of the two, other than as descriptors to try to describe it to somebody, don't matter at all. And that's how it should have been treated with the courts. So anyway. Okay. Oh yeah, Pearl. I saw Timmy Pool respond to Pearl, and like, oh, what the fuck is this? And his comment was, Pearl's right. Dudes who can't get laid should just jerk off to OnlyFans and porn. Like,
or maybe go out and learn how to talk to women. There's seriously.
All right. I can't show you how this began because it began with Candace Owens. And I am blocked by her, and my cousin's not here to log in for me right now. I could get him in a second, but I'm too fucking lazy. But all she said is, what Candace Owens said is, ban porn. It's a method they're using to control men or some stupid shit like that. Because that has become a talking point. Like, the only reason porn is so pervasive is because they're trying to control men. Really?
They want to steal your fluids.
I think a lot of people have a porn addiction and need to back away from it. It's something you use to help you get off. It's not a lifestyle. Speaking of that, did you see that video I sent you of Nick?
Yes. Fugi sent me that. I saw a lot of people saying he was getting a blowjob. I have never positioned my body forward when getting a blowjob because it puts your stomach right into her head and makes it less likely that she's going to actually be sucking at your dick.
I've never violently masturbated while getting a blowjob.
Yeah. wow. I think Nick has some issues that he needs to sort out.
Yep.
So I wish him the best, but the theory going around that he was getting a blowjob, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. I think that something else was going on entirely. But on an unrelated note, thank you, Divine, who says, I love you, no homo. Well, thank you. I love everybody, no homo. I just hate people. I hate humanity most of the time. They're kind of, I mean,
Okay.
if you've ever been on a city bus, you understand. But thank you. I appreciate that.
To clarify for the audience, we're talking about Nick Rekieta. He had a DSP moment the other day on stream and was masturbating.
Allegedly.
No, he was masturbating.
I know. I don't know what the fuck is going on there, dude, but
Keister says, I saw the actual live stream before the dirty delete. That was a solo moment for Rackets. Yeah, there's no indication there's anybody else there.
No, he does talk to somebody
who's
off camera.
Clearly farther back off camera.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because you can barely hear them. So they obviously just walked in the room. And like most people's setups, his camera is forward facing. Or his microphone is forward facing. So if somebody else was down in his junk, it would pick up a lot fucking louder than what was on that video.
The voice that you hear is actually a woman who has recently left her husband. And the moment I saw them before the whole split and everything that's happened was Nick, that guy, and their two wives in a hot tub stream where they made way too many jokes about swinging.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about Nick swinging. I don't know. I mean, if another woman is moving in their house, then either he got divorced or in the poly or something. None of my fucking business if he wants to live his life that way. I've never seen it work, but you do you. I just think that there's some underlying issues here that probably should be addressed.
Yes, he was doing a tube in spaces. Yeah,
that looked like masturbating. I'm not buying.
He was masturbating.
Too many people are saying blowjobs, and I'm not buying that. I've seen a lot of porn, guys. Monkey may have been talking about me with porn addiction, but dear God, nobody jerks off. Nobody gets blowjobs like that. It's just not realistic.
I've masturbated a bunch of times. I know what it looks like. I was 13 once, Jack. I masturbated so much my dick begged me to stop.
Gets a little raw.
Please, no more.
Thank you, Keldrick. It's amusing to see the return of the MGTOW magic vagina juices theories coming from otherwise standard conservatives. It's depressing, but amusing. Yeah, I know, dude. We joke a lot about that shit here, but there are people that are saying that shit seriously.
You guys can be the judge yourselves. There's the stream or a clip of it if you want to see. You guys be the judge. And he looks like shit in that. I thought he looked bad the last time we talked about how bad he looked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't normally watch Rekieta, and I haven't watched him in a really long time. He looked terrible on that. Seriously, I think I said to you in DMs that I've seen guys with severe PTSD that looked better than him.
Oh God, yeah. He looks horrible.
I hope that he gets whatever help he needs, and I wish him the best. But man, I think if you were a regular viewer, you wouldn't notice the progression quite as much. But it's a really stark thing when you haven't seen him in a while. And that's not sleep deprivation before anybody jumps on that train. Nobody looks that rough on just sleep deprivation. Unless they're trying to avoid Freddy Krueger for like years.
I will say this. I was impressed with how quick he was.
Well, when you know what you like, you know. I don't know, man.
This goes back to us knowing our own genitals better than the opposite sex does.
Yeah.
He's
Look,
like,
Eagle. Oh my God, he looks bad.
Yeah, he looks horrible. He looks really bad. Really bad.
Yeah. We don't know Frosted, but there's something going on there, and
Look,
the bar behind him probably is a big factor in it.
look, we know he drinks a lot. I would go so far as to say the man's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
If there's anything else involved, I have no idea. But I do know that man is an alcoholic, which, by the way, is standard for a lawyer.
Yeah, they do a lot of drinking.
Mhm.
I've known functional alcoholics in my life, and some people that's the life they choose for themselves. Fine, but it's not healthy.
I know, and I just hate to see it because I do like Nick.
Yeah, yeah, he's always been friendly with us.
He's a nice enough guy. I don't want to say nice guy because I haven't watched him in a while, and I know he's been spiraling. This was in a stream about how he had just lost a decision over a defamation suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
And I don't know anything about that case. And look, maybe that's how you deal with losing the defamation case, man. You masturbate.
that. Drunkenly rubbing one out. No, I think Mr. Hugh nailed it. He had to be quick because dead air on stream is bad.
That's true. That is true. Although
That's
if you
just
watch it,
professionalism.
it is ugh. It's so bad, so bad. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but it's clearly not good.
I did not mean to, pardon the expression, get off on Nick there, but it kind of relates because Candace, banned the porn, and Pearl shot back with this, Jack.
Ew. Really? Phrasing, dude. Phrasing.
I didn't even do that one.
Pearl shot back.
I didn't even mean to do that one. It says, if women do not want to have sex with young men, what are the men supposed to do? Be abstinent until the 30-year-old woman decides they are ready to have sex with them? Dangerous Spaces, thank you. Nick looks like he both saw and is a ghost. You're not wrong.
Yeah, he looks rough, man.
So
he looks
Pearl's
like a 60-year-old vegan.
Pearl's answer to ban porn because it's bad for men is, what are men supposed to do when a woman says no? Just wait. One, yes. Because because your question right there is not about porn. That's about rape. What's the guy supposed to do? Just wait? Yeah.
Supposed to take no for an answer? Yeah, honey.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But, and this is what Tim Pool's comment was. I agree with Pearl. Guys should watch OnlyFans. Here's the thing.
Of course, your idea is like all kids have money. Thanks, rich boy. Shut up. Porn's free. Stop paying for it.
I'm actually kind of glad we talked about the Nick thing because it makes my point here. You could magically get rid of all porn tomorrow. Guys are still going to masturbate.
Yeah, we have imaginations, lady.
When I was 13, I just told you, man, I once I found my wiener, Jack, I became enamored with it. I rarely had access to porn.
Oh, it was so much harder to get porn when we were kids.
I beat my dick like a runaway slave. And I didn't have to watch porn. The idea that you have to have porn for that, porn is a tool for it.
Yeah. No, you could do it to the Sears catalog, commercials, random people going by your window.
The wind blew too hard. It doesn't take much.
Yeah, you just got to teach it who's boss.
But then Timmy says that to her, and he says, Pearl's right. Dudes who can't get laid should just jerk off to OnlyFans and porn. And she said, actually, I actually didn't give a prescription. I asked a tough question.
No, you didn't. You don't ask tough questions, honey. That's not how any of that works.
You were, and I hate people like this. She's clearly making the argument there that porn should be there. So guys, she did it very badly, because instead she
No.
actually defends rape. But Pearl, you're such an idiot. But she was clearly saying, no, porn shouldn't be banned because guys need it because they can't get laid. And instead of just admitting to that, she's like, I didn't give a prescription. I didn't. I had a similar argument the other day, not about masturbation or porn, but one of the honey badgers wrote this long post about how basically if the sexes were reversed and instead of Andrew there was Andrea Tate, would it be more important to point to the stuff that she did or the valid issues that she raised?
Ugh.
And I merely responded, maybe the guy who's repeatedly bragged about, taking advantage of men isn't the example you should be defending, when you're talking about how men are taken advantage of. And she said that I wasn't defending him. You clearly were defending him. Whether you're out there going, he's not bad at all or he's not as important, that was clearly what you were doing. You were running defense for the douchebag. No, if you're willing to be like that, why are you so unwilling to just admit what you said? Pearl, there's nothing wrong with defending porn. If you think it should be legal, say you think it should be legal. Which you were clearly trying to do as you advocated rape. God, she's a fucking retard, man. And there is a long conversation that goes along with it that just gets dumber and dumber as she changes the subject instead of just saying she thinks porn should be legal.
Well, thankfully porn is legal and you can find it for free.
I hate these people.
I know.
Don't care about that one. Oh, the latest Willie Mack video dropped the other day. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty good. It's the conclusion to his Keffel series. Yeah, it was a banger, as the kids say. Should we watch this idiot? Yeah.
You want to.
We're seeing an uptick in women being arrested for touching their students again, because it's coming to the end of the year, Jack. The students are getting tired. They're trying to study for exams, and their teacher won't stop touching their wiener. And then we come across a video like this that maybe gives us a clue about what's going on in schools. In this case, it's not a biological woman, by the way, as far as I'm aware. But
I pride myself on being a teacher who's very open about her life. And
stop right there. Because she means this within the context of talking to her children, Jack. The children she's charged with.
Didn't we watch this video?
No.
Oh. Well, I've seen this one before.
This one came out like 3 days ago, but I haven't done a stream in 3 days.
No, this one's an older video. I've seen this person before. I don't know if we talked about this person, but I've seen this person before.
I think I've seen the person before, but not this video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, you shouldn't be priding yourself in having an open book about your life with children. Why is that a source of pride for you?
I don't know. Why are so many people having their life need to be validated by others anyway?
By children.
Yeah, especially by children. That's really weird.
Oh, we're gonna have to wrap up here. My wife is up.
Oh.
Okay, we'll finish watching this, but
teacher who's very open about her life. And one of the things I'm very open about is my sexuality.
With children.
Super weird.
I have a trans flag, a bi flag, a non-binary flag, all on my desk at my work. But there's one thing I'm
a trans flag, a bi flag and a non-binary flag. It's the United Nations of retard.
Yeah. Frosted needs to start selling made-up flags. I think he'll make a killing.
Not open about, and it's being poly. And today that actually became something I had to worry about for the first time.
Yeah.
Why would you, unless a student specifically asked you, are you polysexual? That should not be something you ever even thought about in regards to children. And if they asked you that, your answer should be, that's none of your fucking business.
Yeah.
Look, I've been mostly open about my degeneracy, but then we reached a level of degeneracy I suddenly had to think about. Daxy boy, what's up?
Hey, Dex.
Been a minute. You got to come hang out some night. I would invite you right now, but I'm getting ready to close up the show.
See, the kids are interviewing us teachers as a part of learning how to write profiles on others. They'll soon be doing it with each other, but they're starting with the teachers so they.
So much was said there that probably shouldn't have. Hey, baby, I love you. Soon they'll be doing it with each other, but we're starting with the teachers. If that doesn't explain the whole situation.
So much brainwashing, so little time.
Can all work together on one subject. And one of the kids on Tuesday is going to ask me if I have a partner.
And you say, it's none of your business. I'm a teacher and this isn't something we should talk about.
Well, I mean, that is their
And the
dating pool. Maybe,
Right.
This person is like, oh, so you want to get it on?
Let's get it on.
And the answer is yeah. And I have another one too.
And they're children and they don't need to know that.
Yeah, it's none of their business. Tell them, shut up. Here's your detention for asking a question like that.
And I don't know how to handle that conversation because while I know that the kids are more accepting of things like homosexuality, bisexuality, all of that, polyamory is not in the conversation. It's not something that is talked about.
None of that. One, in the general zeitgeist, it's actually being talked about more and more, and a whole bunch of dumbasses are falling for it. But that's not, none of those things you just mentioned need to be discussed with kids in a classroom setting.
So true.
None of that shit should be even on their fucking radar. If they ask you, hey, do you have a partner? If you must answer yes, there you go, the end.
And I worry not only would this be something that might lead to rumors that I am cheating on my partner or that I am a swinger or something like that, but would also just totally derail the class.
You think this is going to lead to your students talking about how you're a swinger? What kind of conversations have you been having with these children?
Yeah, why are you talking about kids with any of this stuff? It's none of their fucking business. Stop it, you weirdo.
The obvious answer, the one that I went to first, is I'm not going to talk about it.
There you go.
That's the only answer you should be giving.
But
otherwise, you're a weirdo.
But they pride themselves on openness.
No, they pride themselves on oversharing everything. That's not the same. You can be open without being like, oh, let me tell you all about where I put my dick.
But that feels wrong too. I don't like lying to my students.
They're kids. They're stupid. Who cares?
You don't even have to lie to them. None of your business isn't a lie. It's literally none of their business.
I don't like telling them falsehoods. And also, I don't feel comfortable answering the question by saying, yes, I have a partner, and having to pick which one I pick as the face for my relationship. That
you don't need to do any of that.
No, what? Not only do you not need to tell them that you're in a relationship, why would you then want to show them pictures of the people that you're with?
Here's their face.
Yeah, why is any of this their business? God,
Feels
it's horrible.
super, super gross, right?
This all feels super gross, but not what you're talking about, or at least in the manner you're talking about it.
Yeah.
So I guess what tentatively I've decided after talking with my co-teachers and my assistant principal is maybe the right way to do it is answer the question honestly. Say, while I don't feel comfortable talking about who I'm in a relationship with in this specific setting, I will say that I am bisexual. I've dated people of many different genders. And if you're interested to talk about that or my own specific relationship.
Did you catch it?
Yep.
Wait, guys. Wait. Let's go back. Dark Conservatarian, thank you. Hi, guys. Just woke up. I watched your coverage of the Lauren versus Pearl debate. Pearl made me livid, especially with her statement about how nobody should criticize the way a man abuses his wife. Hey, Dark Conservatarian, who are you to tell a man not to tell his pregnant wife that he doesn't love her and that he's going to fuck her up? How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How absolutely dare you?
What was Steven supposed to do? Wait till his wife wasn't? Whatever. Anyway, listen.
Super, super gross, right? So I guess what tentatively I've decided after talking with my co-teachers and my assistant principal is maybe the right way to do it is answer the question honestly. Say, while I don't feel comfortable talking about who I'm in a relationship with in this specific setting, I will say that I am bisexual. I've dated people of many different genders. And if you're interested.
How come the "if you're willing" didn't make it on the screen?
Because it's too fucking pervy sounding.
If you're willing. Whoops. Freudian slip.
Oh, well, Billy. Oh, I find you very attractive too. Oh God.
She said, I'm bisexual. I've had sex with all kinds of different people and been in relationships. And if you're willing, I mean, if you're interested to talk about it, where do you think that "if you're willing" was headed, Jack?
I think we all know where, and it's somewhere very painful.
If you're willing, I fuck everybody, and if you're willing,
to talk about that or my own specific relationship that you're really, really insistent, let's just not do it in the classroom setting, and we can do it like in lunch or in the after-school GSA club or something.
No, you want to take this beyond the classroom setting.
Thank you.
That is wildly unprofessional, unethical, and inappropriate on every fucking level.
You talked with other teachers and the vice principal, and you guys came up with, if this is uncomfortable to talk about in front of everybody, we should do it in private?
Yeah, about who you're banging, about who you've had sex with.
Thank you, Mark, who says you can only be bisexual if there are only two genders. How dare you? You can be bisexual with as many genders as you want to.
As long as it's a binary based on the word.
They're not by gender, they're bisexual. Never forgetting that gender and sex were basically used interchangeable until pedophiles started pushing it as a psychological bullshit.
Hey, we don't talk about that. You're not allowed to think about that.
Something like that, where maybe it's a little bit more of an acceptable and understanding situation to bring this up.
It's a more appropriate and understandable situation for you to go somewhere and privately have a discussion about your sex life with a child.
Yeah. Wow.
Even if I didn't think that you were really interested in putting your dick in a little child, which I am convinced of now, that you would come to that decision, like the best way to deal with this is a private one-on-one sexual talk with a child, shows you should not be around children at all. Ever.
Yeah. This everything about this is creepy.
Dangerous, thank you. Maybe we can discuss this over dinner. Right, yeah. Creep, indeed. How about we go to my car?
why don't we come back to my place and watch some Netflix and see what happens?
Do you like no juice?
Do you like gladiator movies?
Now, this is a long rambling thing, and that story has kind of wrapped itself up neatly, or at least it will on Tuesday. But I think it talks to a much broader issue, which is that, like, this is a really nuanced thought process I had to have where I had to.
We can back it up so we can hear the rest of her thinking here. But homie just told us it took them a long time to come up with that nuanced take, Jack.
Yeah. I suspect otherwise.
You basically came out and talked about grooming children, whether you realize that's what you were talking about, and I know you do. Yeah. And you're trying to make it sound like this was some tough decision. I had to sit there and think about it for days, and what I came up with was private conversations about my sex life with children. And you recorded yourself saying that.
Yeah,
and put it on the internet.
I don't think a lot of thought went into any of this.
Oh, I think a lot of thought went into this.
No, that went into a different aspect of this. not the whole I should videotape the evidence later to be used against me part.
At least it will on Tuesday. But I think it talks to a much broader issue, which is that, like, this is a really nuanced thought process I had to have where I had to consider the emotional maturity of the kids, where I had to consider what they already know and are talking about and what they don't know and aren't talking about. And also have to consider, how does this fit in with the content that I'm teaching? And
you're teaching kids how to interview people. Your sex life shouldn't be any part of it at all. At all. It's perfectly fine to say none of your business. I have to consider what they know and they don't know, so I know what to teach them so that they know that it's okay not to tell their parents about what we did in my car.
Yeah. Yeah, notice how there was no concern at all for what the parents might think of this situation?
Yeah. No, it's the kids' emotional maturity.
Yeah.
You know where you hear that phrase a lot?
Perverts and kid
pedo defenders.
Yep.
Don't worry. Totally accident when she said she was going to ask them if they were willing.
And the fact of the matter is, this is not a conversation that conservatives are having at all.
We're talking about everything you just said.
In regards to the poly conversation, I mean, I think you and I would both be classified as conservatives by most people, even though I was called a liberal the other day.
Well, you are a Biden voter when it suits some people.
Yeah. We talk about the poly thing. You just don't like what we talk about because it's stupid. Okay? It doesn't work.
You don't like what we say.
The only way polygamy works is in a patriarchal, a authoritarian patriarchal society where bitches don't get a say.
Yeah.
You can be as mad as you want about my fifth wife. Don't say nothing. I'll fuck you up.
They've decided that blanket statement, like, you can't do this at all. There's no place for it. And that just shows such a lack of thought and care. They're not understanding their children as people and where they're at. They're not understanding the content that is necessary, and they're not reckoning with any kind of reality.
I don't think I'm the one that's having the problem with reality.
Or what's necessary.
Yeah.
Why is it necessary for you to tell these children about your sex life? The real answer there, guys, is you start them young so that they can touch them young. That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe like this is going to be an uncomfortable situation that may lead to some strange.
No. Not an uncomfortable situation, an inappropriate one.
Yeah.
A highly inappropriate conversation to have with children. You are talking about taking them somewhere to have private conversations about your sex life. That's not uncomfortable. It's criminal.
conversations, but that's part of being a person. And I'd rather have the kids be able to have those conversations in a safe place at school than on the internet where there's no one to make sure they're learning the right, respectful information.
I would rather they were comfortable and safe with me than with a dirty pervert.
She just made another. And guys, I realize I keep saying she. It's because it looks female. I know it's a guy. I'm not playing the pronoun game. My brain just saw the person. He just made another pedophile argument.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'd rather them learn it from me than on the internet where it's not safe.
Yep.
Yeah, that whole safety thing, it's another thing groomers do. I have no doubt that person touches children.
Well, if I did think that before, I definitely think it now.
Yeah. Tell me you touch children without just saying it, because that's what you just did. I totally need them to learn it from me. You don't want them learning the stuff on the streets, do you?
I should be with somebody that cares about them and loves them. Wait, what?
Yeah. It's an uncomfortable conversation. You know why it feels uncomfortable? Because it's wrong, stupid. It's highly inappropriate for you to have any conversation that you just were talking about with a child. The only time that conversation might, and not in that specific, but like what polygamy is or what bisexuality is, that it would be okay for an adult to be discussing that with a child is if it's parents who are answering questions that their kids came up with, from being on the internet or going to public school.
Yeah.
Or in an actual sexual education class, which, by the way, that is supposed to be about human reproduction and not your fucking weird fetishes.
What?
No, we need pleasure-based sex ed.
Oh, God. Just
What a
pleasure-based sex ed. You're just diddling kids.
All right. And with that, like I said, my lady is up, and I'm going to go hang out with her. Guys, sorry about the days off. I've not meant them, and I would have much rather been here than literally crying last night, Jack.
Oh, that's not good. You should
I was
stop
up for
doing that.
36 hours because I could not sleep because of the pain.
Dude.
Yeah, it sucked. It's a little better today. So it's like I said, it gets better. I don't tell you guys these things for sympathy. I appreciate all of it, but it is the reason I'm not here sometimes, and I do apologize for it. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you so much for the donations. You guys are so kind to us. Jack, anything you want to show?
Nope, haven't done anything. Been super busy in real life. So yeah, I got nothing. Thank you guys so much for everything you guys do and showing up every day. It's good to see you guys. And stay awesome, chat, because you're beautiful people. Don't ever forget that.
Monkey crying. Yeah, it's not even it's involuntary. It's just, God, what a fucking day, man. But like, you hear my voice, right? I'm happy. That's what's important.
I've heard you fake that voice.
What's that?
I've heard you fake that voice. I'm happy.
No. Look, this definitely, Jack will tell you more than anybody, because he's probably had the most experience with it, that my voice off the air sounds a lot different. Because
it's tinged with pain would be the expression I would use.
I do put on a happier voice, but in all honesty, I actually am a happy person. I don't think I could do it if I wasn't. If I was sad or depressed by this, Jack, I wouldn't be on the air right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd be in that corner right there, curled up with my thumb in my mouth and masturbating like Nick Ricada.
Oh, dear God.
On that note, guys, thanks for joining us. Jack, a pleasure as always.
Always glad to be here.
Everybody, have a wonderful night. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye, everybody.
Singity song, sing. Sing a song. Goodbye.